generate some revenue for them, build a nice presence, everything like that. And so when I presented it in front of the board, they were like, there's nobody in our entire organization who can pull off what you have presented us. Can you come back and present this for Reverend Jackson next week? Came back next week, did the presentation again. He's standing in the back of the room, just watching the whole thing. And then he goes, when it was all said and done, he nods to me to follow him into the hallway. So I go in the hallway. He's like, hey, how much do I have to pay you to come work for me? And that led to a couple months of negotiation. And then January 1st, 2010, he flew me out to Manhattan. And I officially became the tech and online media executive and tech executive for the Rainbow Push Coalition. And so that's what led me into that position. But to pivot back to after leaving that, I got into wholesaling real estate and online marketing. Got back into the web design and graphic design as a freelancer, and I did that for a couple years until I learned about trading Forex using binary options. And at the time I was living in Phoenix, Arizona. I had moved to Phoenix, Arizona. And I ended up getting connected with some guys on Facebook. They introduced me to it. But the crazy part is my brother, who also had got indicted at the same time that I did, he ended up getting like 5 years in prison. Oh, wow. So he Forex originally from prison, from federal prison. Oh. And so, yeah, because there's brothers in prison that are making six figures trading the stock and Forex markets in prison, and they're drawing charts by hand. They're drawing out the daily. They take the high and low of the day, create their own charts over time, and map out where things are going in the future. And so, he's the one. My brother actually introduced me to Forex, and then when it came back around through Facebook, I was like, this is something I really need to look into. And once I looked into it, within 15 minutes of the presentation, I knew that this was what I had been looking for my whole life, because there was no cap on the income. There was no degree or certification required. There was no there was no special process you had to go through, and then you could make money, anywhere that you have an internet connection. I mean, this was everything that I was looking for. And so I poured myself into it. At the time I had about 13 websites that I was making money from. I shut all of that down to study Forex about 16 hours a day for about 6 straight months. And so I taught myself how to trade. And in that process, I knew I had something that could help a lot of people. So I began just this fanatical process of telling anyone who would listen about Forex trading. And I was trading binary options, and I built up 6 figures. I made a lot of money. And one of the brokers, RB Options, you can look them up, they ran off with not only my money, but money of thousands of traders. They took $96,000 from me. That was pretty much most of the money I had in life. Okay, Jesus. They just shut down one day and disappeared. Binary options trader, RB Options. And I went through a severe depression at that point. By that time, of course, I had my wife, my kids, everything like that. And so, I battled depression for about a year and a half, almost 2 years of that process. And because I had overcome so much in my life. I had, because I've been in boys' homes in my youth. I've, like I said, I've been homeless. I've been to prison. I've, all kinds of things, and finally found something that changed my life, and then it was snatched away from me just like that, and I had to start over from scratch. But fortunately, I have an amazing wife, and she supported me through this process, and I just kept going. I refused to give up. And so I never gave up on trading. I just was depressed through the process, but I took a hiatus, and during that time, we moved to Africa. I needed to get away from the U.S. Now, even in between that time, here's what gave me the opportunity to also teach myself how to trade. I was in a very, very bad vehicle accident. A semi-truck totaled my vehicle from the back. And I couldn't walk, I couldn't see out of one of my eyes. And so while I was bedridden, I just basically taught myself how to trade because I couldn't do anything else. You know, I was stuck in a bed. And so I just taught myself how to trade, you know, just nursed myself back to health and you know, everything like that. Like, all of this is on my Facebook. Like, the whole process of everything from, like, 2000 and I'll say 10, maybe 2009, 2010. It's all documented on my Facebook.
Wow.
And, yeah. And so, anyway, after the binary options situation, I started to trade spread Forex, or what they call spot Forex, which is what I trade now. And so here's the interesting part about this particular part of the story. When I first started trading binary options, I preferred that over trading spot Forex or spread trading Forex. Mm-hmm. And so I had this bootleg course of this guy named Steve Morrow, and he teaches this methodology called Beat the Market Maker, or the Market Maker methodology. He's actually my Facebook friend too. This guy developed this methodology that has been used and copied and remixed around the world for the last 15, 20 years, and it is the premier method of trading Forex. The premier method. I can honestly say about 50% of successful traders, retail traders in the Forex market today, especially on social media, are using some variation of his methodology. Absolute fact. Absolute fact. And the crazy part is he has a bootleg version of his course that he allows to float around social media, right? Right?
Oh my God. His own mixtape, okay?
Oh man, and he's a funny guy too.
Okay.
But I mean, he's fantastically wealthy, incredibly smart. So he allows this to float around on the internet because it's basically bait. Okay.
Right. Clearly.
Because when you get it, you think you have the actual course. You think you have his stuff.
Right.
But it's the old videos that the audio is out of sync. Right. It's only maybe 5% of the information that you need for his methodology. But it seems like it's the whole thing. And so he lets this float around to kind of once you get it and you have a little success with it, you're gonna realize that there's more to it, and you eventually have to come on home. And so it's kind of like it's a subversive guerrilla marketing technique, and it works like a charm because I had this man's course in 2013, late 2013, when I first started trading binary. And I didn't touch it for 2 years because I was like, I'm not watching these each video is 4 hours long. Mm-hmm. I'm not watching these videos. I don't even know what's going to work. I don't like spread trading, blah, blah, blah. I'm not touching this stuff. So after my fallout with binary options and losing all that money, I was like, okay, I got to do something, you know. And one of my binary students started connecting with some of the students from Steve's actual program who really know the system. And so he started having these amazing results trading this method. And I'm talking about making like 4,000 in a day. Like, I mean, it was just crazy numbers, right? So I'm like, okay, I need to put my ego to the side and take a serious look at this methodology. So I did that. And I started succeeding with the methodology for about 3 or 4 months. But I knew that there was more to it. 1 second. You rarely hear anything flying in the air here. It's very rare. Oh, that's the president, I think. Oh. Yeah. Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's the president's helicopter.
Okay. Well.
Yeah.
I'm gonna just interrupt you for a moment to say we're talking, and to me, no one who watches this video in the United States, if they were to ask you where you are in the world, no one would guess the continent of Africa.
Yeah, they probably wouldn't.
No one.
I mean, you wouldn't think. You wouldn't think it is.
We see some nice housing roofs in the back. We see that you're on a patio. We see but I'm going to be quiet. I'm absorbing this. I'm loving it. It's wow. Okay. Wow. Continue.
I'm honored. Thank you so much for taking the time and actually being interested in even speaking to me about all of this. I really appreciate it. And I'm just trying to keep everything as short and compact as I can.
You know what? I'm getting ready to start texting people. I have a 10 o'clock, but I'll text these people. We need to reschedule. Why? Because your story is going. I want to get this out to people who have faced challenges, and they let those challenges be the hill that they died on. And you said no. No means not right now, maybe later.
So, I like that.
So carry on. Okay.
So I started studying this methodology. I had a little success with it, and my wife studied it with me as well because, everything I know, I teach her. Everything I know, I teach the kids. Like, they are like my first students, and so I make sure that, she gets a crash course in everything that I am, everything that I know, everything that I do. She's my partner in everything that I do. And she has her own little stuff brewing in the background. But right now, we're working to retire her in the next year. She works she does work for the U.S. Embassy. Okay. And so it was just very fortunate that all of that aligned with Africa. So she was able to get contracts with the embassy in Zimbabwe, and also make a great deal of money while I was in Zimbabwe doing my thing. She's also been able to secure a contract here in Uganda with the U.S. Embassy. So her opportunities align with my opportunities, and it's just been working out magically. Like she was the single biggest outside factor outside of myself that has allowed me to achieve the things I've achieved over the last years. So yeah, a lot of this I wouldn't have been able to do without her. Like it's just crazy how everything aligns so much.
Well, I'm going to be wanting to interview her too.
Sure.
Being married to an entrepreneur. The other reason that I'm interviewing you is because I want any way I can help you get your economic dreams.
Yes.
That's what I want to do. Not only first of all, I want to do that. Then I want to inspire my audience. And so her being in a position of being married to an entrepreneur is it's different than a person that gets a paycheck every 2 weeks.
Yes.
And so my actual niche is Black women who want to be married, who want to learn, who want to or are respecting their Black man, and they want to have a family unit, homeschooling, living together, international travel, financial independence. So I definitely, whatever she has, whatever product or service that she has that she wants to share, or promote, however, I can be of assistance. That is my pleasure. Okay.
I'm going to talk to her in about an hour or so. She's going to love that.
Okay.
Actually, maybe less than an hour.
Okay.
So
back to the 4-hour video.